Volkov says, "Back us out," but the engine's already redlining. I say we're stuck, and he says, "Then we bail." And Miller, the gunner, says, "We've got one shot loaded," and we all know what that means. One 76mm round against 5 German tanks that just appeared out of the smoke like metal ghosts. If we run, we might make 30 meters before they cut us down. If we stay, we're sitting targets. But there's something wrong with how they're moving. Too confident, like they don't know we're here. The ditch we fell into, the wheat burning on both sides, the smoke, they can't see us. But the second we fire, they'll know exactly where we are. Volkov's hand is on the hatch. "Your call, Danny. We've got maybe 10 seconds. I jam the gear lever forward. Engine roars, but the tracks just churn mud. Miller's traversing the turret, but we're tilted so badly the gun won't depress enough. The Germans, 5 now, Panzer IVs and at least 1 Panther, advancing in echelon through the smoke, maybe 400 meters out. Volkov drops down from the turret, face covered in soot, checks the driver's hatch, jammed shut. We'd have to bail through the turret. He looks at me. We both know. Run now, we're dead. Stay here 3 minutes, we're dead. No good choice. Just different ways to die. I'm 99 years old. That was July 12th, 1943, 81 years ago. Most of my crew is gone now. Volkov made it to 98. Miller died in 07. We talk sometimes. Veterans meetings, vodka, and long silences. But there was one thing none of us could ever figure out. We destroyed 5 German tanks that day from a ditch we'd fallen into by accident, with a stuck left track and maybe 20 rounds of ammunition. Academy tacticians still can't explain it. They've written analyses, used our combat report for training, but they weren't there. They didn't see what the angle did. Kursk salient, southern sector, Operation Citadel, biggest tank battle in history. Though we didn't know that yet. We just knew there were more Panzers than we'd ever seen, and our orders were to hold the line. I was 18. 6 weeks of training at Chelyabinsk. They told us the T-34 was the best tank in the world. They lied. The Germans had Tigers, Panthers, long 75mm guns that could punch through our armor at 1,000 meters. We had to get close, real close. That morning, I was assigned to Volkov's crew as replacement driver. The last one had been hit by shrapnel. Volkov was old guard, 31, had fought at Moscow. Didn't talk much, but when he gave orders, you listened. Miller, the gunner, was a school teacher from Ohio, precise, calm, called out ranges like he was teaching geometry. And Tommy, our loader, barely 17, hands always shaking, but he could reload faster than anyone I ever saw. The mission was simple. Probe forward, locate enemy armor, report, withdraw. Don't engage unless necessary. 3 T-34s in line formation through the burning wheat fields. Artillery had set. Everything on fire the day before, smoke everywhere, visibility 50 meters at best. I was driving by compass and prayer, Volkov's voice in the intercom, contact left, armor moving perpendicular. Through the smoke, shapes, German tanks crossing our path 300 meters out. Gray, angular. We weren't supposed to be here, neither were they. Volkov. Hold position, they haven't seen us. But the ground under my right track felt wrong, soft. I said so. Volkov said we'd be fine. That's when the earth collapsed. Not a gentle slope, a straight drop. Left track went first, then the whole tank pivoted, sliding backward into a ravine nobody had mapped. My head slammed into the periscope housing. Miller cursing from the turret. Metal screaming, 30 tons doing something it wasn't designed to do. We hit bottom, stayed upright. The V2 diesel choked, coughed, kept running, but we were stuck. Left track buried in mud up past the road wheels. Tilted 30 degrees, nose up like we were trying to climb out of a grave. I tried reverse, right track spun, throwing mud. Left track, nothing. Volkov popped the hatch, looked around, closed it fast. 5 tanks, Panzer IVs, at least 1 Panther. 400 meters and closing. Haven't spotted us yet. We're below their sight lines. The ditch put us below the ridgeline. With the smoke, we were invisible. But when they got close enough, we'd be exposed. Tommy was praying, quiet prayers for the dying. Then Miller, "Commander, the gun angle." Volkov, "What about it?" "We're tilted up 30 degrees. They're on flat ground. I can shoot under their glacis plates, into the belly armor." Silence. We understood. Every tank has weak spots. But belly armor is weakest. Usually impossible to hit because tanks don't fight from below each other. But we weren't on level ground. We were in a ditch, tilted up, with our gun pointing at the angle where German belly armor would be exposed. Volkov climbed into the turret. The German tanks kept advancing. I could hear them through the hull. Engines, tracks on hard ground. They didn't know we existed. Miller's voice, steady. "Range 380. Loaded. Ready." Volkov, "Fire." The gun fired and the tank rocked. In the enclosed space, the blast was physical, pressure in your chest, ears ringing. Tommy was already loading the next round. Through my periscope, I watched the round hit the Panther, where Miller called it, under the glacis plate, into the belly armor where the hull met suspension. Then smoke, then fire. Crew hatches popped. 2 men got out, 3 didn't. The other German tank stopped, confused. They couldn't see where the shot came from. Started traversing the turrets, searching. Volkov, "Target left, Panzer IV, range 350. We had 20 seconds before they found us. But here's what we realized. They were scanning for threats at ground level. Nobody looks down. We were shooting from below their expected threat axis. Miller fired. Again. Another hit through the driver's compartment. The Panzer IV lurched, stopped. Crew bailed, running for the wheat fields. Now the Germans knew something was wrong. 3 tanks left. Started reversing, trying to pull back. But reversing blind through smoke is how you get killed. We had every advantage, surprise, position, the angle. But we were also trapped. 1 good hit, we'd burn. Artillery would obliterate us. Tommy was crying while he loaded. Not sobbing, just tears. Hands working. I kept trying to rock us out, forward, reverse. But the left track was hopelessly stuck. The German tank split up, smart. 2 went right, 1 left, trying to flank. But they still hadn't spotted us exactly. Volkov, "We only fire when we have certain kills. Make them come to us." We waited. Engine idling, Tommy reloading, Miller tracking targets. Me trying to restart my heartbeat. 1 Panzer IV got brave. Came forward slowly. Commander, in the cupola with binoculars, scanning. Passed within 200 meters. I could see his face. Young, maybe my age. He didn't see us. Drove right past. Volkov let him go. Wrong angle. But it told us we were invisible. A ghost tank. The Panzer IV that went left found the burned-out T-34s from yesterday's battle. I heard his radio. Tone changes, excitement. He thought that's where we were firing from. Wrong guess. He came in to confirm, rolled up to a burned-out tank, put himself broadside, 300 meters. Volkov didn't give orders. Miller was already on target. Loaded, ready. Fire! Third kill. This one exploded. Ammunition cook-off. Turret lifted 6 feet, hung in the air, crashed back sideways. Hatches never opened. Now they knew. Not where we were, but that we were dangerous. The 2 remaining Panzerfahrers reversed hard, throwing smoke grenades, trying to break contact. One reversed wrong, backed into ground he hadn't scouted. His right track dropped into a ravine, stuck, like us. Crew bailing before we could fire. They'd seen what happened to immobilized tanks in our kill zone. Volkov. 1 tank left. He's running. Let him go or take the shot. The 5th Panzer IV was fleeing, smoke pouring, moving fast, 700 meters out. Long shot, moving target. But if we let him go, he'd bring artillery, air support. I said, we're stuck here anyway, might as well. Miller, range 720, moving. This is optimistic. Volkov, take it. Miller fired. I watched the round arc. You could see it at that range, a dark streak against smoke-gray sky. It hit the engine deck. Pure luck. The German tank slewed sideways, engine killed, rolled into a shell crater. Didn't burn, just stopped. Crew poured out, running. 5 German tanks, 5 kills from a stuck T-34 in a ditch. Tommy stopped crying, just stared at the gun like it had performed a miracle. Volkov opened the hatch. The smoke was thinning, wind shift, visibility improving. Other German units might see us. We need to get out of this. Ditch. Now. I tried everything. Forward, reverse, rocking. Nothing. The left track was buried too deep. We needed help. Our battalion knew roughly where we were. When Volkov sent a contact report, they'd send recovery. Problem was, the recovery team would have to cross German-held territory, and we'd just made ourselves very interesting to every panzer unit in the sector. We waited. 20 minutes, an hour, smoke cleared, and we started seeing what we'd done. The Panther crew, 2 got out, 3 didn't. Bodies slumped in the hatches. The one that exploded, nobody. Ammunition fires don't leave much. You can be winning and feel like you're losing. 5 enemy tanks destroyed, but I kept thinking about the commander with binoculars. Young face. Was he in one of the tanks we killed? Tommy threw up. Miller sat silent. Volkov, chain-smoked, said nothing. Then we heard engines. German, heavy, new contacts, more armor. We'd killed 5, but there were hundreds in this sector. And now they knew where we were. Volkov grabbed the radio, called for immediate recovery. Response, recovery team moving, 15 minutes out, hold position. The German engines got louder. I saw them, 3 tanks, hull down on the ridgeline. Tigers, they'd found us. We had maybe 8 rounds left. Volkov, Miller, can you hit from here? Range 1,000 meters, angled no. The Tigers weren't advancing, just watching, spotting for artillery. Keep us pinned, mark our position, let the guns do the work. Volkov, if you want to bail, I won't stop you. We're stuck. Recovery might not make it. Artillery's coming. I'll stay with the tank. But you 3? Tommy, I'm not going anywhere. Miller, I've got 7 more rounds. I'd like to use them. They looked at me. The driver who'd gotten us stuck. I said, engine still running? Seems wasteful to leave now. It wasn't bravery. It was, we'd come this far, done the impossible. If we were going to die, at least it would be spectacular. Volkov smiled. First time I'd seen him smile. Then we wait for recovery. And if they don't make it, we make those Tigers work for it. The artillery never came. I still don't know why. Maybe the forward observers got killed. Maybe the radio nets were jammed. The Tigers waited. We waited. Then I heard the most beautiful sound of my life. Soviet diesel engines. Our battalion coming fast with a recovery tractor. The Tigers pulled back, didn't want to fight with fresh Soviet armor. We were saved. The recovery took 2 hours. Cables and winches and a dozen men cursing in Russian while they dug out our track. Volkov kept scanning the horizon. The Tigers never came back. When they finally pulled us free, the left track was bent, 3 road wheels damaged, the suspension questionable. But the engine ran. The gun still worked. We were operational, technically. The battalion commander, Major Petrov, a man with a face like a closed fist, drove up in his command tank, looked at our T-34, looked at the 5 burning German tanks scattered across the field, looked at Volkov. Explain. Volkov gave him the coordinates, the timeline, the complete detailed action report. Professional. Factual. Didn't mention Tommy crying or Miller's impossible shot or the fact that we'd survived on pure luck and angle mathematics. Petrov walked the battlefield, inspected each kill, came back. The Germans will study this. Understand? They'll study it because it shouldn't be possible. But you did it anyway. That's war. The impossible happens and you just keep moving. He put Volkov in for a decoration, recommended the whole crew for medals. We'd destroyed 5 enemy tanks in combat. That was mathematics. That was history. The Academy would analyze it. But decorations take time. Bureaucracy. We had a war to fight. They buried the German crews that night. Shallow graves, no markers. That's war. We didn't watch. Didn't want to see their faces. Tommy never really recovered. He stayed with us through Kursk. But something broke in him that day. He stopped talking except to acknowledge orders. 1,000-yard stare. Then he just wasn't there anymore. Transferred. I heard later he survived the war, lived until 2003. I don't know if he ever found peace. But he had 60 more years than those German crews got. That has to mean something. Miller stayed precise, professional. We fought together until September, when his tank took an 88mm round through the turret at Bryansk. Killed him instantly. Clean death, if there is such a thing. The funeral was brief. The war didn't stop. Volkov and I made it all the way to Berlin, different tanks, different crews, but we'd see each other sometimes. Smoke cigarettes, remember the ditch. He died in 1998. Heart attack. Peaceful. He deserved peaceful. The Battle of Kursk lasted another week after our action. The Germans called it off on July 13th, day after we fell into that ditch. Hitler diverted forces to Italy. The Wehrmacht never recovered the initiative. Historians call Kursk the turning point of the Eastern Front. We didn't know that then. We just knew we were alive. Our action got analyzed at the Armored Academy after the war. They called it exemplary use of terrain and fire discipline, made it a case study. Officers still learn about it. How a disabled tank can become an effective defensive position. How angle of fire can compensate for armor disadvantage. All very technical. What they don't teach is the fear, the luck, the way Tommy's hand shook while he loaded, the way we won by accident. Volkov went on to fight at Korsun, Lvov, the Vistula-Oder offensive, made captain, then major, survived the whole war, went home to Ukraine, raised 3 children, became a school teacher, ironically, same profession as Miller. He'd tell the story sometimes at veterans' meetings, always left out the part about how terrified we were. I drove tanks until May 1945, made it to Berlin, saw the Reichstag, came home with scars and memories and nightmares that took decades to fade, got married in 1947, had 2 children, 4 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren. They live all over America now. Good lives, normal, peaceful lives. They don't think much about the war, but they exist because I survived, because that ditch was at exactly the right angle, because Miller could do mathematics under pressure, because the Tigers decided to wait for artillery that never came. Those 5 German tanks, if they'd killed us, they would have been available for the next battle. Maybe they would have killed other Soviet crews. Friends of mine, wars are built on these tiny moments. 5 tanks, 1 ditch, luck and angles. Volkov's children became engineers. Miller's widow never remarried, raised their daughter alone. The daughter became a doctor, saved lives. That's what Miller would have wanted, I think. Balance the scales somehow. I'm 99 years old. My hands shake from age now, not fear. But sometimes when it rains, I can still smell diesel fuel and burning wheat. Still hear the screaming metal of that fall into the ditch. They want to make monuments, memorials. The local history society in Kursk keeps asking for interviews, official recognition. I tell them no, there's no glory in what we did. We killed 5 crews of young men who were just following orders, same as us. We survived because the earth collapsed at exactly the right angle. That's not heroism. That's geometry and luck. But I think about Volkov sometimes, the way he smiled when we decided to stay. Like he knew something I didn't. Maybe he did. He saw more war than I did, understood it better. I think about Miller. Perfect calm, calling ranges like he was teaching school. He would have been a good teacher, should have lived to be one. I think about Tommy's hands shaking while he loaded ammunition. 17 years old, crying and working, fear and duty. That's what war is. Not the tactics, not the victories, just fear and duty mixed together until you can't tell them apart. The academy still teaches our battle, the ditch, the angle, the 5 kills. They call it tactical brilliance. I call it luck. But maybe that's what all brilliance is, luck that you somehow don't waste. I've carried this for 81 years, the weight of it, the knowledge that I survived and better men didn't, Germans and Soviets alike. All of us just boys in metal boxes trying not to die. The ditch saved us. The angle was perfect. Miller's mathematics were flawless. And 5 German crews burned so that I could sit here now, old and tired and grateful and guilty all at once. That's the story. That's what happened. I was there. Some nights I still dream about the fall, the moment when the ground disappeared and we dropped into darkness, the moment everything changed, the moment I should have died, but didn't. I don't know why I survived. After 81 years, I still don't know. But I was there, and that has to be enough